All right, so the next thing that we are going to look at is writing equations of quadratics. Okay, so we've looked at how you can take a word problem and write a quadratic equation from a word problem. Now we're going to look at, if you're just given some points, how do you write an equation? Okay, so basically what you're going to do if you're a step person, step one, just figure out what's the most appropriate form for your parabola given the information that you're given. Plug in any key information that you're given. So if you're given the vertex, plug in the vertex. If you're given the intercepts, plug in the intercepts. And you're going to also always be given an extra point that you're going to then use to plug in for x and y. You're going to plug all that stuff in, solve for your a value, and then once you have that a value, go back and actually write the equation. Okay, so let's go through what this is going to actually look like. So we're going to write an equation with a vertex of -6, -4 that goes through -2, -12. Okay, now choosing the most appropriate form of the parabola, they gave me a vertex. That means I'm going to choose vertex form. Okay, they give you a vertex, use vertex form. If they give you intercepts, use intercept form. If they don't give you either of those things, then you can't use either form, and that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Okay, but in this case, I have a vertex, so I'm going to use vertex form. So reminder, vertex form is y minus k equals a times x minus h squared. Oops, I'm sorry, nope. The plus k comes over here. There we go. That was transformation form. Okay, so y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. We're not worrying about any kind of horizontal transformations here. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug these values in for h and k, right? Because that's part of my vertex. And then they also give me a point here. So I'm going to plug in these key information they gave me. They gave me h, they gave me k. And then this point, I'm going to use these as my x and y. Okay, because if I just try to plug these numbers in right now, I'm going to have y equals, I don't know what, times x, and I know this number and I know this number. But I'm going to have this unknown a value, and that's the first thing that I've got to figure out is what is that a value? Okay, so I'm going to use these guys as x and y for now, because if I do that, then I can fill in all of these variables except a, solve for a, and then I'll know what it is. Okay, so I'm going to plug in. So my y coordinate is -12. Okay, my a value is the unknown that I'm solving for. My x value is -2. Don't forget there's a minus built in. H is -6, so I'm doing minus -6. That's like +6. Don't forget the squared. That's a common mistake. And then plus the k value, which is -4. Okay, and now we're going to solve this for a. So I'm going to start by taking this -4, bringing it over to the other side. So I'm adding the 4 to both sides. That'll make that a -8. And then this, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this all the same step. -2 plus 6 would be 4, right? So 4 squared is 16. Okay, and then to get the a by itself, I'll divide both sides by 16. -8 divided by 16 is -1/2. Great, so now that I have that a value, now I can go back and write the actual equation. So my actual equation is going to be y equals my a value, -1/2, times x minus my h, so minus, again, -6, it's going to make it plus, squared, and then plus k, so -4. And voila, there's my equation. Okay, excellent. All right, now let's look at this guy. So this one, they give you the equation, or we're finding the equation of the parabola with these two intercepts that goes through this point. Now, in this one, they came right out and told you that this is the vertex. That is the only way that you can know that something is the vertex of your parabola. They have to tell you. But in this case, even if they hadn't told me, I still would have known that these were intercepts. Why would I know that? Because they have y coordinates of 0, right? Which means that they have to be x-intercepts. Okay, so sometimes you're going to be given 3 points, and it's going to be up to you to look at it and recognize, oh, look, 2 of these are x-intercepts. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and write this equation. Since we have intercepts, we are obviously going to use intercept form. So reminder, intercept form, y equals a times x minus p times x minus q. Okay, where P and Q, it's a terrible Q, are your x values of your intercepts. And then similar to the last problem, from this extra point, I'm going to use x and y. Watson. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and plug all this stuff in here. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to solve for a. We'll go back and write the equation at the end. So my y coordinate is 48. A is the unknown I'm looking for. My x value, negative 11. Okay, minus p, which is 7. It doesn't matter which one you make p and which one you make q. It's the same thing either way. Okay, and then here we're going to have x again. So I'm going to use that negative 11 twice in this one, and that's okay. You can use it more than once. And then minus the q, which is negative 3. So minus negative 3 becomes a plus 3. Cool. All right, now we just got to solve for a. So this is going to be a times, that'll be negative 18. And that will be negative 11 plus 3 is negative 8. Okay, negative 18 times 8, I don't know what that is off the top of my head. It's 144. So a times 144. Divide both sides by the 144. So 48 divided by 144. Okay, now looking at this, I got a decimal here. You don't want to use decimals. You want to write them as fractions. Now, hopefully you just know already that that's 1/3 and you're good to go. If you didn't know it was 1/3, there's a feature in your calculator that turns things into fractions. So just a reminder of how you do that. Go to your math button right here, and then the very top option changes things to fractions. So I'm going to use option 1 and then hit enter again. There's your 1/3. Okay, so that's a really handy feature to know about. So again, math button, and it's that top one, number 1. You can either hit enter or hit 1, same thing. Okay. All right. And then from there, we are good to go. Now I have the equation for my graph. So my graph is going to be y equals my a value 1/3 times x minus 7 times x minus negative 3. So x plus 3. And there we go. That's the equation for my parabola. So again, pay attention to what information they give you. If they tell you there's a vertex, use vertex form. If you have 2 x-intercepts, whether they tell you that or you just look at the 2 points and know, then use intercept form. Either way, plug in all the information you have, solve for a, and then write your equation. Okay, tomorrow we're going to talk about, well, what do you do if you have neither one of these? What do you do if you don't have the vertex and you don't have the intercepts? How do you handle that? Okay, so we will deal with that tomorrow.